Hello, I'm Councilmember Joyce Clark representing the Yucca District, and my very special guest is Mr. Ray Klemp, owner of the Beet Sugar Factory. And we are delighted to be in this building today. There are hundreds, thousands of people who are curious, who have driven by and have never seen the interior of this building. It is truly amazing. And I wanted to talk to you about some of the physical attributes of the building before we go into anything else.
Certainly.
And you were telling me that these stairs are solid, what are they? Solid?
They're cast iron steps made in Bay City, Michigan back in the probably late 1800s or early 1900s.
And you're going to save them,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
And just, I would imagine, add railing so that people can eventually get up to the second floor?
When we actually get this part of the building working in the upper floors, we'll have to reconfigure because you can't go up so many steps without landings. But we'll
really?
preserve these and put them into modern configurations so we can see the original part of the building, what it was made of.
And I noticed that these are the beams that actually hold the building up, and they look pretty tough to me. What are all those round dots on them?
Those are rivets, and this is what's called flat iron construction. So the Flatiron Building in Manhattan, the Empire State Building are all made of riveted steel pieces like this. And it's the understanding of them. The steel is not the same kind of steel you'd get today, but it's quite strong. And we can witness that by the fact that King Kong was able to climb the Empire State Building without causing any damage whatsoever.
Now, the city's already been in here and basically inspected the building, and that's what all these holes are about, right?
Yeah, this is not the city, this is a structural engineering
Structural
who is bringing the engineering up to meet modern code for seismic and wind loading, which were not calculations that were done in the 1906 or early 1900s. And if you can get a picture of how massive these fittings are, we've even x-rayed them. There's lots of steel reinforcing in them. They meet current codes for over-engineering.
Obviously, to renovate this entire building would take massive amounts of money. So I know that you have phase 1 and probably phase 2 and phase 3. Let's talk about phase 1 and walk over to where phase 1 is going to be.
Take a look over on the east side of the building here. And this is where the higher base spaces are.
Okay.
And there's some big equipment pads where machines were mounted back in the early days.
Well, because this used to be, among other things, the squirt factory.
In fact, its longest and most profound use was as a beverage plant, which is what the current use is.
Well, let's talk about that while we're walking over here. What eventually will this first phase 1 space become?
This will be a plant where beverages are made. We will have a walled-in room where the stills are located because we'll be making vodka and tequila and other things like that.
It's your intent to have tours of this phase 1 space?
We can't until we have blessing from the fire marshal. We'll have to have more sprinklers out here to make it safe for people to enter.
So in the very beginning, it will strictly be a manufacturing, production facility.
We're not allowed to have more than 9 people in here at a time.
Wow. How long do you think it will be before you will be able to let people tour inside the building?
As soon as the recession's over.
Good answer, good answer. Talk to me about the second floor ceiling. I noticed that it's concrete, it's kind of crumbly.
These essentially were poured on, you can see little lines where boards were there to support it. So they did put some wire, but they did not pull the wire up into the concrete. So it's basically just monolithic concrete pour that's had water running on it for 100 years, so it's a bit brittle, and we will be replacing, as we replace floors, we'll have B-deck and concrete, reinforced concrete, which would be the modern construction technique.
So basically we're saying that the building is pretty sound structurally.
Yes.
Your structural engineer has confirmed that the beams are good, the foundations are massive.
Right.
So basically, it's the periphery stuff, the floors.
The floors and the roof.
And the roof.
And you're really, to be a beverage plant, you don't need a whole lot of improvements. You need room for tall equipment. You need a roof that's secure. The building needs to be secure. And Squirt was made here and became a successful project.
What about the brickwork on the exterior? Is that in pretty good shape?
It's a difficult project. We want, as we maintain it, and it's not a new construction, there are many shades of red and fading that go on, so we'll have to match individual sections, and it'll be a plant maintenance item where we repoint and replace bricks that have deteriorated and so forth.
Because I really like the almost faded old whitewashing effect of these bricks, and it would be kind of a shame to see that disappear. Okay, so now we're in the phase one portion, the production area of the renovation of the building. What do you envision? What is going to happen to this space?
Well, in the corner will be a small room. Well, it'll go from the door all the way to the end, and that's where the electrical supply will be.
Okay.
We're not going to make any penetrations or open any new windows or walls. We're preserving the exterior of the building 100% as it is right now.
When I walk in here, what am I going to see? I know there's going to be a little room there for your power supply.
Then you see pallets and pallets of empty bottles sitting here ready to be processed.
Okay.
There'll be, here will be another room directly in front of us, and it will have, that's where the boiler goes. We'll have a boiler in there to generate steam for our beverage making process.
So you're actually going to make the beverage here and bottle it here?
Right.
Okay. I noticed there's an old window there. Are you going to try to save that?
We'll save that. We still have to secure it. We've found that windows don't last too long around here.
Yeah.
But we'll save the frame and probably have some protective boarding outside like we have now.
Would you say probably the most expensive part of this whole project is meeting regulations?
Well, it has been because we've had to meet current codes rather than the old codes that the building did. If this building had been in use the whole time, we probably could have just moved in.
So when people come to this location, where will they come in from?
The city actually hired a planner to do a concept, and also when the Centerline project was done, ASU did a concept for this space between the two buildings, and we see that as being a key and strategic place, at least when the city has a downtown event, our event can be there, and perhaps we can have people come from time to time there, and they can see through into our spaces even if they can't come in the building.
So what did they envision, like tables and
garden
kind of atmosphere?
Garden, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very pretty, and your people at Economic Development have the renderings.
And when do you anticipate getting started, at least on this first phase?
I think the city will probably move faster than normal. I think they want us to do this.
This will be just phase one. What do you envision in the future in terms of expanding the use of this building and the timeline for expansion?
Well, the ideal picture for this is that we've moved into the backside of the building where we have yet more production going on, maybe another bottling line. There's also, at the back end of this, a sliding door that takes you into warehouses that we don't own.
Oh, really?
But they have dock-high loading. It used to be a meat packing house. So if we could if we get bigger and need to do lots of loading, leasing one of their spaces and having pallets of product on the dock to be put on trucks will be a very handy thing to have. Secondly, we would have to, if we did a public tour here, we'd have to come up with a parking solution, which we don't have right now. We don't have enough land to do it ourselves. But should we be able to get that done, then we would envision an elevator and perhaps on the 4th and 5th floors, this little display area where people might experiment, learning how to use the beverages, and a bar or restaurant on top, and then on the 2nd floor, railings and a walk through so that you could look down and see things happening.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And we're talking years into the future.
We are,
to see that.
yes.
So people shouldn't get so excited that
About
they
tomorrow. No,
Yeah,
exactly.
and seeing the whole building done instantly, it's
Can't
a
happen.
work in progress.
It has to
and
phase.
It's going to take
And it
time.
depends how the beverage plant grows. That'll be driving it. So.
Okay, and I'm sure alcoholic beverages are very popular throughout the country. I'm sure you have
They
no
are,
problems.
particularly in times of recession.
Exactly.